Medigroup Physician Services presents Medigroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives, produced by Bridget Wilson and Carrie Peters. Today's guest is Steve Gulick, CEO for DARCO International. Now, here's your host, Medigroup's Frank Gillespie.
Well, nice to be with you again, and welcome to another edition of Medigroup's Frank's Fast Five. Today, I have the privilege of sharing in some conversation with Steve Gulick, CEO for DARCO International. And ladies and gentlemen, DARCO International is a company founded by a podiatrist that offers innovative products for foot and ankle conditions. And we are honored to have this agreement with DARCO. And DARCO, like I said, International is a contracted supplier of Medigroup. So again, we're very thrilled to have this agreement. And Steve, it is more of a thrill and an honor to have you here with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Frank. Thank you so much. So excited to be here and to chat with you.
Likewise, I appreciate the time and thank you very, very much. And as I said before we hit the record button, my experience in working with DARCO has been outstanding. Your team, Ian and Molly, and the others on the team have been excellent to work with, and it's just been wonderful. I respect it very much. So thank you for that. I wanted to make sure that our audience knew that and that you knew that personally. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. We've got great people here. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And it starts at the top. I know that. So as we kick it off, and I promised you I wouldn't waste your time, Steve. So tell me a little bit about your experience in healthcare, a little bit of background.
Sure, Frank. Well, first off, it's never a waste of my time. We appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
So I've been involved in this industry for the better part of about 34, 35 years now. And let's see, in my first 10 years or so, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to start my career in healthcare sales with Hillrom, a Fortune 500 hospital bed and furniture company, renowned, if you know them, for their quality and customer service, just a great company. And Hillrom's incredible leaders helped shape and really mentor me to being the person, not just the business person, but the person I am today, I feel. I spent another 8.5 years after that in the startup world, leading field sales and robotic surgery at Intuitive Surgical, and another small OR startup after that. My executive management career began at Berchtold, another surgical company in Charleston, South Carolina, which led to an acquisition by Stryker Medical in 2014. Then after all that, technological advances in medicine really began to drive my interest toward remote telemedicine, where I was given the opportunity to run the Southeastern U.S. business for Teladoc, the largest public telehealth company in the world, and spent about 6.5 years doing that. And just over a year ago now, about 13 months ago, I was asked to come to DARCO in the role that I'm in today as their CEO, as you mentioned. And that's kind of what's led me here to you, Frank.
That's fantastic. What a breadth of background for sure. And certainly I can understand where you had some good, you indicated you had a good foothold in your first company and got some good background. Same thing with me. I worked for Daughters of Charity National Health System for 10.5 years when I first started. It's now Ascension Health, but 10.5 years, got my footprint down and they taught me everything. I mean, very blessed to have worked there. And really that's been my foundation in the GPO world since 1987. So I can relate to what you had to say there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, can you tell us a little bit about DARCO and what led you to them? And you've already kind of indicated that, but a little bit about DARCO, a little bit of background.
Sure. Well, it's just a funny story how I found out about DARCO. It started in a neighborly tie to West Virginia back in 2011 while living in Charleston, South Carolina, helping to run Stryker Berchtold. My family proudly flew the West Virginia WVU flag in our yard because our daughter was a student athlete there. DARCO's then CEO and co-founder, Darrel Darby, who's from Huntington, West Virginia, where DARCO is headquartered and where I'm sitting at today. Darrel was looking at a house in our neighborhood with his wife, Melissa, saw our West Virginia flag. And like any good, outgoing, friendly West Virginians, they simply walked up to our house, knocked on our door and asked us how we like living in South Carolina. And roll forward, they bought a house in our neighborhood. Our kids grew up together. Darrel and I both have a lot in common along with our healthcare backgrounds. And we simply became great friends. We talked about business and our companies over the years, and the culture that Darrel had built here seemed very similar to me, to the old Hillrom that I used to work for back in the 90s. and family owned and operated, only the highest quality products, totally customer focused and driven, always wanting to do the right thing by their patients. And yeah, I mean, even if it meant at a cost to DARCO. So honestly, far beyond that, just getting to know the entire Darby family, some of their extended family, and having the opportunity to meet some of their employees over time, I began to realize just how special this company was.
Sure.
And for the Darbys, it's never about them. It's always about those around them, how they can help, how they want to help the less fortunate, and they are always giving of themselves and their time. DARCO, the company and their employees also share those same qualities. Many of their employees have been here 20, 30, 35 plus years. Anyway, to my surprise, Darrel and the Darby family came to me in early 2023 thinking I may somehow be able to help them scale DARCO to the next level of growth. And after a bit of conversation, I agreed to join them November of 23. And still kind of pinching myself. These wonderful people are my friends, and I'm going to do everything in my power to keep leading it the way Darrel and his father, Dr. Darby, here over my left shoulder did before me. Right? It'll always be about the patients and what's best for them, and that's why I'm here at DARCO today, Frank.
That's awesome. What a great background. And that's when you know it's a great fit, when all of those things kind of happen naturally and flow naturally and it all comes together. I think that's fantastic. And I can honestly say that's happened in my life too. Things just kind of fall into place. And honestly, that's how I ended up at Medigroup. This is awesome company, great people, kind of mirrors what you just said about DARCO. So that's really cool. Sure. Good to know that information. Thank you. So with that, how has DARCO been able to establish itself as a global leader? I think all of those things contribute, but are there some other things that you might want to share?
Yeah, I think in a few words, our pillars are innovation, quality, and education. In 1985, Darrel's father, Dr. Darby, a podiatrist, started DARCO with a simple, yet at the time, novel and extremely innovative idea. Instead of using post-operative shoes like this.
Yes, sir.
If you can see this crazy thing, it looks like maybe something Frankenstein might have worn, right? It just, metal toe cap, burlap. Literally,
I was just going to ask you if that was metal at the toe. Holy cats.
And this is wood.
Oh,
and
wow.
And again, this the 70s and the 80s. Again, instead of this, which was in fact, believe it or not, the standard of care at the time, Dr. Darby developed and used what was, again, back in the day, cutting edge running shoe technology to make the first DARCO, or I should say actually Darby shoe.
Oh, wow.
Again, the name changed a few years later to DARCO, of course, but Dr. Darby, thought of this shoe for his patients, but then Darrel, his son, then went around the country in the mid 80s selling this, and it simply caught fire, right? Dr. Darby's invention flipped everything in podiatry and foot and ankle ortho world on its head. From that day forward, DARCO became the innovation company within the foot and ankle space. Mm-hmm. And also, Dr. Darby and Darrel would never compromise on material quality.
Sure.
Again, reminding me of Hillrom, again, even at the cost to the company. Since then, DARCO has hired in-house engineers who painstakingly source nothing but the best materials at a reasonable price and only use the newest and highest quality manufacturing processes to give their patients the very best chance to heal and return to normal life. Dr. Darby understood that DARCO products that protected the surgeries that he performed on the wounds or the wounds he was trying to heal could not only save, the patients from lower extremity amputations, they could literally mean the difference between life and death.
Wow.
And, I don't want to be dramatic, but Dr. Darby and Darrel both understood this very well as they saw the positive effects that their quality, innovative products, starting with this one, had on his patients every day in his clinical practice. To that end, you mentioned, how we became a global company. Going global, as an academic physician, Dr. Darby knew the power of education. Certainly, he understood that. Yes. He went to Germany in the early 90s on an invitation from some of his peers in Europe and talked about his new product. Naturally, with that, over time, DARCO shoes began to catch fire then throughout the EU, the UK, Asia, India, and other places around the world. My good friend Darrel, and now the chairman of our board, he likes to say, doing well by doing good. And so Frank, we kind of cross into 2025, now our 40th year in business, going into 25. DARCO's success is truly both. Yeah, no, thank you. It's really an amazing business story as well as a wonderful family story too. So
that's awesome. The family story being mixed in with that makes all the difference, I think, and it flows down to the employees. I think it's awesome, and it is reflected in everything that you guys do. And talking with you, like I said, Ian and Molly and the team there have been fantastic. It's just night and day difference. So a couple more questions. I'll keep it moving. As a CEO, Steve, how do you maintain a culture of innovation and inspire your team?
Real honestly, I talked about the people, and they make my job easy. I don't have to inspire anybody to innovate at DARCO. They inspire me every day, honestly. Our employees, the average tenure here is approximately 16 and a half years.
That is phenomenal.
And they know our business cold. They come and they stay, and they think about our patients daily. And everyone, no matter what department they work in, feel empowered to bring their thoughtful ideas and their products or operations, to leadership directly. With diabetic patients being our number one focus at DARCO, a diverse group of employees thought about, developed, and planned in Q1 to launch a new and again very innovative diabetic shoe. Now, people throw that term diabetic shoe around, and there's plenty of them on the market. But this one will not only help prevent foot ulcers, it's also capable of offloading and healing ulcers because it's patented air core insole. This is something that's fairly standard in a lot of our products, but this one will be in a little different shoe, which will be our Pogo. It'll launch again in Q1, and it's in a pilot phase right now, and it's already catching fire and will turn podiatry again on its head. Clinicians, patients who are in this shoe are loving it, and instead of the big black kind of ugly bulky shoes that these diabetics have to wear to heal ulcers like this one. And again, this is our shoe, and it's standard of care, and it's great. But these diabetics, they feel defined by that, by their malady. And
you still have a style sense.
That's right. And the Pogo will allow them to simply fit in and go through their day with some dignity.
Okay.
And, everybody at DARCO knows their place is to simply take care of the customer and make sure that the patient is safe. Again, like Darrel says, doing well by doing good. And this attitude not only permeates everyone at corporate in West Virginia, it's the same feeling and function with our folks in our facilities in Charleston, South Carolina, in the UK, in Germany, and Asia. It doesn't matter. Everybody at DARCO innovates because it's patients first, always, always.
That's fantastic. Once you get your foot in the door at DARCO, you stay and you help those patients. I love it. So last question, we've moved this along. Thank you so much for being here. What is a piece of advice, Steve, you received early in your career that you still use today?
Well, that one's simple, and kind of going back to you said, you started there and gained great experience from the people that you worked with.
Yes, sir.
And this one's simple. Jim Reed, my boss and my mentor at Hillrom, gave me sage advice when I first started there in 1991. After going through a bunch of extensive product and clinical training for weeks and weeks, he sat me down before I headed out into the field, and he said, okay, you're now an official Hillrom salesperson. Every salesperson in the world has a number to hit, correct? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, you too have a number to hit, right? And I said, sir, yes, sir. I was ready to go, right? And he then looked at me right in the eye and he said, now here's what I want you to do, Steve. Forget the number.
Interesting.
He repeated himself. He goes, forget the number. He then said, don't get me wrong, you do have a number and you own that number. He said, this is a business and we have to sell product to maintain that business, right?
Sure.
So, however, he then said, if you simply go out that door, make friends, I truly mean make friends and follow the golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated and take care of their problems, even if they have nothing to do with your product or Hillrom, just take care of them at any cost. Then I promise you the number and the business will take care of itself.
Sage advice.
So,
Awesome.
yeah. Jim's a great guy, great leader, and I did exactly what he said and met with tremendous success over my career. But more importantly, lasting friendships. And I took that advice everywhere through sales, management, continuing with nothing but success. And again, warm, wonderful, lifelong relationships. And honestly, not because I'm that good of a salesman, but because I simply follow Jim's advice. I think this is why DARCO feels like such a good fit for me personally. While, I never had the pleasure to meet Dr. Darby. He passed in 2003.
Sorry.
Knowing his son, Darrel, like I do, and everyone in the Darby family, I guarantee you they all subscribe to this mindset. And
you can tell.
This is, and this is why they've been so successful in life, let alone business. So,
well, you're a good fit there. I don't see any rough edges around your silhouette here. So, perfect fit there. You emulate everything you're talking about. I love it.
Well, thanks. And to be clear, the Darbys never measure their success by business or the numbers for that matter, only by what they've done well. And if in fact they've done good, that's their measuring stick, is doing good. And Frank, I promise you and all your constituents at MediGroup, if you ever call and or work with anyone at DARCO, Paula, Melissa, Jim, John, Lindsay, Ian, anybody really who picks up the phone, in a way, you'll kind of get to know the Darbys, Dr. Darby, Darrel, his family, because you'll have a warm, wonderful, friendly experience. And if you ever have any issue whatsoever, you can call me and ask for me directly. And I promise you, it'll be taken care of immediately. So,
I believe
Frank, all of us at DARCO International are extremely excited about this opportunity with MediGroup, you, and we truly look forward to working with you and your team. And in the tradition of our company values, over time, we really hope to build long-lasting relationships with you and all of your customers as well at MediGroup. So appreciate all your time today, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Awesome. I learned a lot, and it's some of the similarities are just give you a warm feeling. So thank you very, very much. Appreciate the time. Look forward to working with everybody at DARCO, and I know our members are going to be excited to continue to look into this agreement and to utilize it. So have a great rest of the week. Have a wonderful and blessed holiday season.
You do the same, Frank. Thanks so much.
Okay.
This has been MediGroup's Frank's Fast Five with Healthcare Executives, produced by Bridget Wilson and Carrie Peters, and hosted by Frank Gillespie. Special thanks to Steve Gulick, CEO for DARCO International. This has been a presentation of MediGroup Physician Services.